Lieutenant June Park stood motionless on the rocky terrain of Gamma 9, his combat suit reflecting the harsh metallic landscape. The planet's twin moons cast long shadows across the battlefield, creating an eerie silence broken only by distant explosions and the crackling of burning equipment. The research facility before him looked like a massive wound in the planet's surface, twisted metal, shattered glass, and smoking debris scattered everywhere. June's team had been tracking enemy movements for weeks, and today's mission was supposed to be a standard reconnaissance operation. Nothing about this day seemed standard anymore. His helmet's advanced sensors picked up a faint heat signature deep within the facility's collapsed western wing. Most soldiers would have ignored it, assuming it was just residual energy from destroyed equipment. But something made June pause. A slight movement. A whisper of life. He signaled to his team to hold position and slowly moved towards the damaged structure. Each step was calculated, his powered exosuit absorbing the uneven terrain while maintaining near-perfect silence. Years of training had made him more machine than human in moments like these. As he approached the collapsed section, a soft sound caught his attention. It wasn't the mechanical noise of damaged equipment. It was something else. Something alive. Carefully moving debris, June discovered a small space, almost like a protective pocket, where something extraordinary was hiding. A young alien child, no more than 7 Earth years old, huddled in the shadows. Her skin was a soft pale blue, with intricate silver markings that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light. The child's eyes were massive, larger than human eyes, with a depth that seemed to hold entire universes. They were filled with a mixture of terror and hope. She was trembling, but not making a sound. Survival instinct, June thought. She knew making noise could attract danger. His combat training told him to secure the area first. Check for threats. Ensure mission parameters were met. But something else, something more human, urged him to act differently. "It's okay," he whispered, switching his suit's translator to its gentlest setting. "You're safe now." The child didn't move. Her eyes, those incredible, deep eyes, studied him carefully. She understood he wasn't a threat, but wasn't sure if he was a friend. June noticed she had a small injury on her arm, likely from falling debris. Without hesitation, he reached into his medical kit and pulled out a universal healing patch. He moved slowly, showing her each movement, letting her see he meant no harm. The healing patch would work on most carbon-based life forms. As he applied it, the child watched with curious intensity. No fear now. Just pure, raw curiosity. A massive piece of metal blocked most of her hiding space. June knew he would need to move it carefully. One wrong move could cause more damage. He activated his suit's enhanced strength capabilities and began to lift. The metal groaned. Dust and small rocks cascaded around them. For a moment, June thought the entire structure might collapse. But then, freedom. The debris lifted, creating a safe pathway. The child remained perfectly still, watching him. No crying. No panic. Just observation. "Can you move?" June asked softly. She nodded. A tiny, almost imperceptible movement. He extended his hand. She looked at it, then back at his face. Another moment of decision. Then, slowly, she reached out and touched his armored glove. In that single touch, something extraordinary happened. A connection. Beyond language. Beyond species. A moment of pure, simple understanding. June lifted her carefully, adjusting his suit to create a stable, safe environment. She was light, much lighter than a human child would be. Her body seemed to naturally adjust to his movements, finding comfort in his protective stance. As he turned to return to his team, the battlefield around them continued its chaotic dance. Explosions. Distant weapon fire. The sounds of an interstellar conflict that had raged for generations. But in this moment, none of that mattered. There was just a soldier. And a child. And a rescue. The transport ship hummed with a low, steady vibration as June watched the alien child seated across from him. Her name was Hannah. He had learned through careful communication and his suit's advanced translation systems. She hadn't spoken a word, but her eyes told complicated stories. Captain Lee approached, his heavy boots creating a rhythmic sound against the metal floor. "We can't keep her," he said bluntly. "Protocol is clear about alien passengers during active conflict zones." June remained silent. His fingers traced the medical scanner that had been monitoring Hannah's vital signs. Her biology was fascinating, her heart rate was steady, almost calm, despite being surrounded by complete strangers in a massive military vessel. Hannah watched the interaction, her large eyes shifting between June and the captain. She understood more than they realized. Her species had advanced communication skills that went beyond simple verbal language. When June offered her a small nutrition pack, she didn't immediately take it. Instead, she studied the package, her slender blue fingers tracing its metallic surface. Her curiosity was scientific, methodical, nothing like a typical child's random exploration. The other soldiers watched her carefully. Some with suspicion. Some with a mixture of fear and wonder. An alien child, rescued in the middle of a battlefield, was not a common occurrence. During a routine system check, something unexpected happened. Hannah placed her hand near June's communication panel. Suddenly, the system flickered. Data streams appeared that no one could understand, complex mathematical equations, star charts, and communication protocols that seemed to dance across the screen. "What's happening?" Captain Lee demanded. June realized Hannah wasn't just communicating. She was interfacing with their technology. Her touch was like a gentle but powerful electrical current, translating and transforming information faster than any human computer could process. The other soldiers took a step back. But June remained still. He understood something fundamental was happening, a connection beyond traditional understanding. Hannah looked at him and smiled. It was a small smile, barely noticeable. But in that moment, June knew she was more than just a rescued child. She was a bridge between two completely different worlds. During the next few hours, Hannah showed remarkable adaptability. She observed the soldiers' routines, learned their basic communication patterns, and seemed to absorb information like a living sponge. Her ability to understand and adapt was extraordinary. When they passed asteroid fields, she would point to specific locations, her finger tracing invisible lines that seemed to mean something significant. The navigation team was baffled. These weren't random gestures. They felt like precise, calculated movements. At night, when most soldiers slept, June would find Hannah sitting near the observation window. She would press her hand against the thick glass, watching the stars move past. Her reflection showed a complexity that no child, human or alien, should possess. The medical team constantly monitored her, running discrete scans. Her physiology was different. Her brain activity showed patterns that didn't match any known species. She was something else entirely. When food was served, she would carefully examine each item. Not with the randomness of a child, but with the precision of a scientist. She would separate components, study their molecular structure, and then either consume or politely decline. June noticed she seemed most comfortable near technological systems. Computers, communication panels, navigation consoles, these were her playground. Her touch would make systems respond in ways no programmer could predict. "She's not just a child," one of the tech specialists whispered to June. "She's something more." As their journey continued, the initial fear among the soldiers started transforming. Curiosity replaced suspicion. Wonder replaced fear. And at the center of it all was June and Hannah, an unexpected pair connected by a rescue that would change everything. The stars outside continued their silent dance, witnessing a connection that transcended species, language, and understanding. Deep within the massive crystalline structure that served as the Royal Command Center, Queen Aria sat motionless. Her neural network was fully activated, receiving the intricate mental transmission from her daughter Hannah. The images flickered like delicate memories: a human soldier, a battlefield, a rescue that defied all conventional understanding. The transmission was unlike anything the Royal Communication Systems had ever processed. Each moment was crystal clear: June's careful movements, his protective stance, the gentleness of his rescue. No aggression. No typical human violence. Just pure protection. Royal advisors surrounded the Queen, their multiple sensory organs pulsing with confusion and tension. Humans had been their enemies for generations. Every previous encounter had been marked by conflict, destruction, and mutual distrust. "This cannot be standard protocol," one advisor muttered, his translucent skin shifting colors with nervous energy. Queen Arya raised a single hand, silencing all discussion. Her mind was processing something far more complex than a simple military encounter. Hannah's mental projection continued, showing precise details of her rescue. The way June had moved debris. How he had applied medical treatment. The soft words of comfort spoken in a language she barely understood. The royal communication chamber was designed to handle complex interstellar transmissions. But this transmission was different. It carried emotional frequencies that traditional systems couldn't fully interpret. Sensors began to malfunction. Communication panels flickered. Something extraordinary was happening, a transmission that was more than just information. It was a bridge between two completely different civilizations. Queen Arya's neural implants began processing the information at speeds incomprehensible to standard biological systems. She was seeing beyond the immediate rescue. She was understanding the deeper implications of this single human's actions. Military strategists waited. They expected the typical royal response: strategic analysis, potential counterattacks, diplomatic maneuvering. But Queen Arya was doing something entirely unexpected. She was feeling. The transmission showed Hannah's perspective, her fear during the battlefield rescue, her gradual understanding of June's intentions, the gentle protection she had experienced. These were not just images. They were emotional frequencies that challenged everything the royal court understood about humans. "Impossible," one senior advisor whispered. But no one dared interrupt the Queen's deep mental connection. Hannah's memories continued to flow. The transport ship. The soldier's initial suspicion. June's consistent protection. Each moment was a thread in a complex tapestry of understanding. Queen Arya's decision would not be based on military strategy. It would be based on something far more profound: a single moment of unexpected compassion. The royal communication chamber began to resonate. Energy fields shifted. Quantum communication networks started recalibrating. Something fundamental was changing. Outside the royal structure, military vessels waited. Weapons charged. Defensive systems active. They expected a traditional royal response to a potential threat. But inside, Queen Arya was experiencing something no military protocol could predict. She was witnessing humanity through her daughter's eyes. Not as a threat, but as potential. Her neural networks expanded, processing every minute detail. The precise angle of June's rescue. The careful way he had protected Hannah. The absence of typical human aggression. Advisors watched in complete silence. Their queen was doing something unprecedented. She was truly seeing. Truly understanding. As the transmission completed, Queen Arya opened her eyes. The entire royal chamber held its collective breath. "Prepare diplomatic protocols," she said softly. "We are going to do something different." The universe paused. Something extraordinary was about to happen. The diplomatic chamber was unlike anything June had ever seen. Walls that seemed to breathe, surfaces that shifted like living liquid, and an atmosphere that felt more alive than any mechanical environment. Queen Arya sat at the center, her presence both regal and unsettling. Hannah stood beside the queen, her small frame a bridge between two impossible worlds. Her eyes locked with June's, a silent communication passing between them that no translator could capture. "Lieutenant Park," the queen began, her voice resonating through the chamber without using traditional sound waves, "you have done something unprecedented." June remained still. Years of military training had taught him to control his reactions, but nothing could prepare him for this moment. The royal chamber seemed to pulse with an energy that was part technology, part something entirely unknown. The queen's advisors surrounded them, creatures with multiple limbs, skin that changed colors like advanced camouflage, eyes that seemed to look through reality rather than at it. They watched June with a mixture of curiosity and calculation. Your rescue of my daughter was not a simple act of survival, Queen Arya continued. It was a demonstration of something our species has forgotten. Compassion. Holographic displays began to materialize around June. They showed his entire rescue mission, every movement, every careful decision, every moment of protection. The images were more than visual. They carried emotional frequencies that made the entire chamber vibrate. Hannah stepped forward. She placed her hand near a communication panel, and suddenly, complex data streams began to flow. Star charts, diplomatic protocols, technological schematics, all dancing around her small form. "We are offering you something no human has ever received," the Queen said. Her words were both a statement and an invitation. The offer was beyond diplomatic immunity. Beyond technological exchange. It was a chance to become a living bridge between two civilizations that had known only conflict for generations. June understood the weight of the moment. One rescue. One act of protection. And now, everything was changing. The royal advisors watched with intense scrutiny. Some seemed skeptical. Others showed a mixture of hope and calculation. Their collective energy filled the chamber with a tension that felt almost physical. Hannah continued to interface with the communication systems. Her touch was gentle but powerful. Complex mathematical equations and communication protocols danced around her, translating something beyond simple language. "You will be our representative," Queen Arya explained. "Not just a soldier. Not just a diplomat. But a living connection between our worlds." The offer came with extraordinary provisions. Advanced technological resources. Diplomatic freedom. The ability to move between human and alien territories with complete autonomy. But more than that, a chance to prevent future conflicts. June's military training told him to be cautious. His human instincts told him to be suspicious. But something deeper, something more fundamental, understood the extraordinary nature of this moment. Around them, the diplomatic chamber continued to breathe. Surfaces shifted. Energy fields pulsed. This was not a traditional negotiation. This was a transformation. Hannah looked at June. No words were needed. Their connection transcended language, transcended species. A single moment of rescue had become something much larger. The Queen waited. Her advisors waited. The entire chamber seemed to hold its collective breath. June understood that his answer would change everything. Not just for himself. Not just for his planet. But for two entire civilizations that had known only conflict. One moment. One decision. The potential to reshape galactic understanding. The chamber continued to pulse. Waiting point 6 months had passed since June's extraordinary rescue and diplomatic appointment. The interstellar transport ship glided silently through space, its advanced systems humming with potential and promise. Hannah sat beside him, no longer just a rescued child but a critical part of this unprecedented diplomatic mission. Her neural interfaces connected seamlessly with the ship's communication systems, translating complex interstellar data faster than any known computer. Earth's governments had been shocked by the sudden diplomatic breakthrough. A single human soldier, chosen to represent humanity's first genuine peaceful contact with an advanced alien civilization. Military leaders were skeptical. Diplomatic channels were confused. But something fundamental was changing. The ship's observation deck became their primary workspace. Star charts, communication protocols, and complex diplomatic strategies surrounded them. Hannah would touch holographic displays, her fingers dancing across information streams that seemed to come alive under her touch. June had learned more about alien communication in 6 months than most humans would learn in multiple lifetimes. It wasn't just about language. It was about understanding deep, fundamental connections that went beyond words. Queen Aria's initial offer had been more than a diplomatic position. It was a chance to rewrite the understanding between two completely different species. No more conflict. No more misunderstandings. A genuine path to mutual respect. Their first major diplomatic mission would be critical. A potential conflict zone near the Epsilon Quadrant needed careful negotiation. Two species on the brink of total war would now have a unique mediator, a human who understood compassion, and an alien who understood connection. The ship's advanced systems continued to adapt. Hannah would often spend hours interfacing with navigation, making micro-adjustments that improved efficiency by percentages that would take human engineers years to develop. June's military background proved crucial. He understood strategy, but now he was learning something more important: how to prevent conflict before it began. Each communication, each negotiation was a delicate dance of understanding. Military reports from Earth continued to arrive. Some praised the mission. Others questioned the wisdom of trusting an alien civilization. But June and Hannah represented something beyond traditional understanding. Their connection was more than diplomatic. It was almost familial. She had become more than a rescued child. She was a bridge. A living connection between two worlds that had known only conflict. Holographic displays showed potential conflict zones. Hannah would touch them, and suddenly complex resolution strategies would emerge. Mathematical models of peace negotiations would bloom like living systems. The ship passed through regions that had previously been war zones. Now, they were becoming corridors of potential understanding. Each jump through space was a statement: conflict was not inevitable. Queen Aria's vision was becoming reality. A single act of compassion had transformed into a galactic possibility. Humans were no longer seen as purely aggressive species. They were potential partners. June looked at Hannah. She smiled, a smile that contained entire universes of understanding. No words were needed. Their connection transcended traditional communication. As they approached their first major diplomatic mission, the ship felt alive with potential. Not just a vessel of transportation, but a vessel of transformation. The universe watched. Something extraordinary was happening. A human soldier who rescued an alien child had become something more. A living bridge between worlds. Their journey was just beginning. The stars outside continued their silent, eternal dance, witnessing a connection that would change everything.